A warm welcome to the discussion on safe journey to motherhood in COVID times. So there are lots of apprehensions, lots of questions, lots of doubts regarding pregnancy, planning of pregnancy, taking care during pregnancy, uh, not only taking care during pregnancy, how to go about your checkups, what would be the results of normal delivery or a cesarean, what to breastfeed, not to breastfeed. There are so many apprehensions regarding pregnancy and aftercare in pregnant women. So we're going to discuss everything in detail, and there is a WhatsApp number wherein you can send your questions to this WhatsApp number. We would answer all the questions that we get as doubts, and we will discuss on that further. So the WhatsApp number is 8897993265. I repeat again, the WhatsApp number is 8897993265. So regarding a safe journey to motherhood during COVID times, we have a list of topics to discuss on. The first and the foremost thing to discuss is whether pregnancy planning is safe during COVID times. So as far as pregnancy planning is concerned, we are very clear. We have very clear instructions from ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research, to all the fertility centers till the lockdown, that active infertility treatments in terms of management of infertility by various methods of infertility treatments like IUIs or time intercourse or IVFs or any other method is not advisable in view of the restrictions applied for the lockdown and movement of the couples. Because fertility treatments need a very regular follow-up and very regular scans, that is the main reason behind restricting the activities and the to and fro of patients, and to take care of their hygiene and social distancing norms and all that. Technically, ICMR has stopped all fertility treatments and has given a very clear guideline to all fertility centers all over India to stop fertility treatments. This has been universally followed in European countries and American countries also. And whereas if you think about natural planning of pregnancy, definitely natural planning of pregnancy is not contraindicated. And WHO has recently released a paper saying that it's a personal choice of the couple who are planning pregnancy, and we cannot interfere in their decision making and their personal reasons whatsoever and stop fertility treatments and stop them from getting pregnant. Anyways, we are very fortunate to even think about infertility right at this moment, but 7 million pregnancies are expected out of this COVID lockdown, which has lasted for about approximately 2 months. All over India, if you have to see the COVID lockdown that has finished 45 days, and we have a few more days to come in, and we don't know when the active opening of everything will be done. India is expecting anywhere between 7 million unexpected, unwanted pregnancies, be it out of infertility or failure of contraception or non-availability of contraception. So this is the fact. So there is going to be a huge rise in deliveries and pregnancies and its outcomes in the next few months. So if you have to think about whether to plan pregnancy or not, there is a consensus now that all the infertility centers are coming up with PPEs, social distancing norms, and their adequate lab parameters, and taking care of all the other things that need to be in place before seeing patients. So there are a couple of centers who are opening up this week. There are a couple of centers that are opening up next week after the lockdown is over. So it's personally their own risk and equipments or equipped labs that they have. They are taking this decision because beyond a certain point, we cannot stop everything in terms of medical care. So whoever is starting the fertility labs or fertility centers, they are well equipped and they know about social distancing norms, what care they have to take before the patient comes over, what to take care when they are seeing the patients, how to take care of about their labs, how to take care about their monitoring protocols, how to take care of PPEs, how to take care of general anesthesia, all these things. They have their own set of protocols under the guidance of ICMR, under the guidance of WHO, under the guidance of RCOG, Royal College, under the guidance of ACOG, American College, and they are taking these things into consideration and starting the fertility treatments. So this is about infertility and lot of doubts about infertility. And somebody who's planning pregnancy. Yes, pregnancies have become difficult these days because lack of common consensus and different work timings, lot of stress associated with work, coming late to the house or coming, tired to the house and not having regular intercourse. So there are n number of reasons why people are not getting pregnant, be it irregular diet habits, be it polycystic ovaries, be it endometriosis, be it fibroids, be it male factor infertility, be it pollution, or anything for that matter. There are hundreds of reasons behind having fertility issues. Currently, in the situation of lockdown, wherein couples are under a single roof, uninhibited, and they are spending a lot of quality time with each other, they're having that presence of each other, and they have that time to have the regular intercourse and sex. So this is having a better advantage for people who are planning pregnancy. Pregnancies have been increased in this 1.5 months, and we are seeing a new influx of newly pregnant women coming up for their checkups at this point of time. Similar are the rates of ectopic pregnancies that are coming up as a part and parcel of whatever comes with pregnancy and its side effects, pregnancy and its normal effects. So pregnancies have increased in this COVID time, given the reason of the time and space that they are getting in terms of having good, not only time, they are having adequate diet, they are having time, they are having relaxation, they are having everything under the roof that was not there before. So pregnancies have increased, and the only time when we tell them not to plan for pregnancies is if the partner has had a foreign travel and is under home quarantine. Yes, social distancing norms are to be in place, and there is no question of planning a pregnancy at that time. And if they are in a community of or a red zone where you don't know who's infected and who's not infected, because we do not have community testing as of now. So in such places also we are expecting people not to get pregnant in lieu of just as a preventive measure and nothing else in terms of corona or COVID-19, COVID-19 virus infection. So there are very limited conditions where pregnancies are contraindicated or not to be planned. Not to forget, yes, COVID-19 is a viral infection, it is an RNA virus, it can infect your throat, and it has a lot of susceptibility to ACE2 receptors, which are ample in your throat, ample in your lungs, alveoli, even in the blood circulation, heart, and all the kidneys, all these organs. So wherever ACE2 receptors are there, the COVID infection is vulnerable. So if you think about this COVID infection, it is related to a respiratory tract infection. Yes, there are parallel lines wherein the heart is also infected, there is a thrombus formation that is seen, there are kidneys also infected, there is bowel also infected, and there is viral shedding from the bowel also that has been documented. All these things have to be taken into consideration and think what has to be done in terms of care that has to be given to the patients or anybody. So, keeping in mind about the social distancing norms, the care at home, the care at workplace or work from home option, all these things, people have lots and lots of doubts. You can send your doubts to this WhatsApp number. I'm again telling you about the WhatsApp number 8897993265. So you can send your doubts to this number and your doubts will be answered. So thinking about how safe is pregnancy. Somebody who's already pregnant, yes, COVID-19 infection is one of the respiratory tract infections of coronavirus family that have lasted since many, many years. Nothing new about coronavirus infection. COVID-19 is a more virulent strain with a different kind of mechanism that acts, causing acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is the worst come worst scenario that we are seeing. But most of the coronavirus infections, like COVID-19, have a milder infection which come as a small symptoms of sore throat or cold or dry cough, little bit of breathlessness, and it subsides once your fever comes down. So these are milder forms. There are patients who have severe forms, less than 2% is what we are seeing on an average, and lesser in terms of Indian statistics that we are seeing. Even though we have reported 40,000 to 50,000 of cases, the number of critical cases, the number of deaths have been lower in our setup because of our different immune mechanism, different genetic constitution, different temperature zone, different community, different diet, and other different structures compared to the Western population. So, if you consider infections that are coming up with COVID-19, the severity has a spectrum from asymptomatic to death, from mild symptoms to moderate symptoms to severe symptoms. But what we have observed over a period of time from the last 3 to 4 months is a very consistent relation to low immunity levels, to hypertensive, diabetic patients, to obesity, to people who have respiratory complaints, to people who are already on anti-cancer therapy or low immune mechanism and low immunity levels, and susceptibility to infections has increased with their lower immunity levels. So these are some predisposing factors that we have identified, and pregnancy at times can be a lower immune phenomena wherein you have the tendency of getting more infections, and even if you get infection, the severity of infection is also at times more. We have seen lot of cases of swine flu couple of months back, and even till last month we've had swine flu cases with critical conditions in pregnancy and affecting the third trimester pregnant woman, leading to complications. So even COVID-19 has a similar kind of incidence in terms of causing asymptomatic carrier to a mild symptoms to moderate symptoms and severe symptoms. So pregnancy is not an exception, and the susceptibility in pregnancy is little more in terms of the lower immunity levels. Though it has not been proven, but yes, if the symptoms do occur, the little severity is more because of their altered immune status. So what are we supposed to do in pregnancy? Yes, in pregnancy, if we have to think about, we have discussed in detail about pre-pregnancy. I want to discuss pregnancy as first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, labor and delivery, breastfeeding, and so on and so forth. So, how is pregnancy, COVID-19 in the community and pregnancy related to the aftercare that we need to take? So whenever COVID-19 or any kind of viral infections are there in the community, we need to be alert. because there is already a problem that is running in the community and it needs to be addressed in terms of taking care at home, at workplace, and at public places. Since there is universal lockdown right now and most of them are working from home, we are going to discuss this in terms of people who are working, pregnant women who are working at home and pregnant women who are working at their workplace. So, if COVID-19 has to be, taken care of in view of pregnancy, first trimester, what is the care that you need to take? Anybody in the first trimester, that is the time when active division of fetal cells occurs, and there is a chance of congenital malformations that can occur in this time. So, if you have to think about any pregnancy whatsoever, all pregnancies should be planned pregnancies. That is very important. You should have adequate folic acid supplementation, correction of your vitamin D levels, which will improve your immunity levels and your hormone status, correction of any other health problems like including your correction of diabetes if you have sugar or hypertension if you are taking any antihypertensive medications, epilepsy medications, everything have to be in place and then you should go forward for a healthy pregnancy. So once you think that you have missed your period, do a home pregnancy test which is available at all pharmacies. Over the counter they will give you. You can get it home and you can do it with the first urine sample whether you are pregnant or not. Once you are clear that your pregnancy is positive, stating that you will have 2 lines that come up when you are pregnant in that kit. So if you are pregnant, book your appointment as soon as possible with the gynecologist because there are a lot of fluctuations in thyroid hormone levels. There are a lot of fluctuations in terms of, seeing pregnancies inside the uterus, ectopic pregnancies. We don't know. To avoid any kind of nuisance and mishaps during first trimester, it is advisable to have an early visit with the hospital as soon as you are pregnant. So you should visit a hospital which has the maximum safety levels in terms of screening of general population. If a hospital is allocated for COVID patients, that is where you should not go. If you are low risk and early pregnant without any COVID symptoms, nothing, no exposure, no history, no symptoms, you have to opt for a place which will give you safety in terms of proper screening of general population and take you to a place where your pregnancy is going to be safe. Here at Cuddles, we have a universal procedure of screening everybody who come from a normal area or they are coming from red zone or they are identified with symptoms or without symptoms, and a tag is given based on their history. If you are clean and if you have no history of any symptoms or any exposure or you're not from a red zone or you don't have any complaints, you are given a green bag which you have to wear when you're going into the zone where we see the pregnant woman. So that assures your safety that you are going into a place where it is safe for you and your pregnancy. Make sure you don't go with multiple attenders. If possible, you can go alone to the hospital, self-driven, not in public transport and by your vehicle only. And once you reach there, you can go for the screening of yourself, give your details and then enter into the ward which is specifically assigned for non-infected and low-risk people. So at early pregnancy, what all have to be done is your antenatal profile has to be done, your hemoglobin levels, your blood sugars to be checked, your infectious screening has to be done, your early pregnancy scan has to be done, your thyroid report has to be done, and your urine examination for any infections. So these tests will put you, towards a safe pregnancy or any pregnancy with certain small degree of risk associated. If you have identified any thyroid issues, you can start your thyroid medication. You can call forward and take your folic acid medication. If you have any previous high risk pregnancies, your medications would be started accordingly. So an early pregnancy scan is very, very important to have a very safe pregnancy. Early pregnancy scan not only checks whether the pregnancy is inside the uterus, if you are 6 weeks or something, you even have to, you can even, determine your fetal heart rate, whether you have single pregnancy or multiple pregnancy or any other pregnancy complications associated with it, like a corpus luteal cyst or with hemorrhage or with pain or any other problems. So early pregnancy scan is very, very important for everybody who is pregnant, just to check on and avoid certain emergencies. Once your early pregnancy scan is done and you're in a safe zone and your heartbeat and everything, your antenatal checkups will go as per schedule along with the normal protocol and nothing in excess that you need to take care. Yes, but if you are in a red zone or you are in under home quarantine or you have minimal symptoms or you have a family member who has had foreign travel or she's under quarantine, you need to take additional care in terms of home aseptic precautions, hand care, cooking and serving them with a different bowls and taking care of the normal linen and the soiled linen. All these things you need to take care and all precautions should be in place. Not only this, whatever your doctor suggests, the medication should be taken on a regular basis. Your next scheduled visit of the first trimester will be assigned according to your history, your clinical situation, and what has to be taken care in your scenario. There is no universal antenatal program or regime that can be applied to all pregnant women. No. Pregnancy is different in different population, different for different people, and associated with the previous history that reads on, and your antenatal checkups will go forward as per your previous records or the current situation that you are in. One important scan of the first trimester is the NT scan. So I would in detail discuss about the ultrasounds during pregnancy. I would only mention about the NT scan, which you should not miss at any point in time if you are in the first trimester. If you have a scheduled appointment for NT scan, you have to go on time as per schedule in between the 12th and the 14th week. So that is really important and it should not be skipped. For people who are in first trimester, if you have to talk about risk of first trimester with COVID, if somebody is infected with COVID in the first trimester, what would be their risk is what people ask at times. Yes, coronavirus has been there from a very long time and it is not associated with any kind of congenital malformations in the first trimester as of now. But COVID-19 is a separate strain. Nothing has been identified with this strain in terms of congenital malformations and no documents are available as of now. And about the risk of abortion is high in people with high temperatures, complications and patients who go on ventilator and all these things. But clinically, lesser degree of coronavirus COVID-19 infection would not lead to a miscarriage is what the universal consensus is. And we have seen first trimester viral infections like rubella, chickenpox, cytomegalovirus, all these infections giving congenital malformations and a need for medical termination of pregnancy if you are infected with these kind of viruses. But with COVID-19, there is no consensus universally that you have to go for a medical termination of pregnancy in view of congenital malformations for COVID-19 virus. So that rule is not applicable in this viral infection. So once you complete the first trimester, the second trimester is a cooler time. Pregnancy, it gives jitters in the first trimester and the last trimester in terms of comparison with the mid trimester to viral infections. In the mid trimester, you have to be careful about your diet, about your exercise, about your sleep pattern, about your medications, about your antenatal checkups. The most important antenatal checkup in the mid-trimester is the TIFA scan, which I will discuss in detail. So this scan appointment should also not be missed. Nothing much to cover about the mid trimester. Any amount of infections in this trimester goes good because this trimester is quite stable. And yes, if you have an associated high temperatures running or COVID positive or urine infection or any bacterial infection, chances of preterm deliveries are there. So your routine screening should take care of all these things, and it is mandatory that you are booked in a safe place where your routine screening protocols are stronger than any special situations that you have to deal with. Yes, antenatal care is very important in the current scenario because it is not taking care of a natural phenomena that is important. It has to cover, the antenatal care, mind you, has to cover any inappropriate situation that you can encounter, and antenatal care has to be geared up as a preventive mechanism to prevent any adverse events in pregnancy rather than just your routine checkups and your medications, the iron calcium medications. Antenatal care is way beyond all this normal checkups. Antenatal care is prevention better than cure. That principle has to be applied, and every pregnancy has to be universally given importance in terms of any mishaps, their screening and taking care of that pregnancy as an individual. It is not that you had a two previous miscarriage, only then this pregnancy has to be, under screening and under, treatment for or any other problems that you encounter. Even your first pregnancy should take care as if that pregnancy is the most important pregnancy of your life. That is the, the gist of having a good antenatal care. So coming to the third trimester. Third trimester is an important time because with COVID infection, there are chances of preterm labor, there are chances of IUGR, there are chances of unexpected events, increased incidence of preeclampsia, and all these things associated. But COVID negative patients, low risk patients, it is going to be smooth as if nothing has happened, provided you should take your antenatal checkups and get yourself examined on a regular basis as per your antenatal regime requirements and protocols. That is really important because antenatal care in the last trimester has implications of labor and delivery. So you should not miss your visits to the doctor, be it lockdown or any other situation. Make sure you attend to your antenatal visits in the last trimester. Last trimester also is a closer monitoring for intrauterine growth restrictions, smaller baby risk, or any other associated problems in pregnancy. So it is very important that you need to take care of that aspect in terms of taking antenatal care. Video consultations, audio consultations, all these things have a role when you have medical problems or you are diabetic or hypertensive or any other situations. Video consultations and audio consultations are not apt for pregnant women because pregnancy is a comprehensive health care where you need to see the pregnant woman, feel the pregnancy, check for the baby's growth. Not only that, your vitals monitoring, your BP, your every other things, your urine albumin, your current status. There are so many other things that you need to personally check on. So video consultations and audio consultations are not advisable in order to prevent any complications or any missed findings that are associated with them. The maximum possible, you should not miss your antenatal visit, and you can quite schedule a later visit with your doctor if everything is going well. Rather than missing a visit, you can go have the visit done, and whenever necessary, instead of having a weekly visit, or you can make it 10 days or 15 days visit or anything like that, whenever it is necessary according to your case and according to your consultant choice. So these are certain do's and don'ts. What are the do's during pregnancy in COVID times? Eat healthy, sleep healthy, take rest, distribute work, don't take tension, do home exercises, whatever possible. Make sure your environment is clean, universal precaution in terms of hand care, in terms of hygiene, in terms of getting things from outside to clean, wash them and use them. Use as far as possible fresh food, no reheating of food. Do not experiment on different kinds of food at this point of time. Eat minimalistic, eat nutritious diet. Balance of diet is very important. And anybody who's going out of the house, they have to come and follow the universal precautions like cleaning and everything before they enter the house. And maximum care in terms of sterility and asepsis that is required. If you have minimal cold, cough, fever symptoms, you can stay home and check if for the symptoms. If you have cold, if you are sneezing, prevent it to spread by sneezing inside the elbow. Use a handkerchief or a tissue which has to be disposed and cleaned in a proper way. Take care of already, if you have children in the house, take care of elders in the house, all these things. Don'ts. Don'ts are something you need to take care, wherein pregnant women nowadays have an option of work from home if you are belonging to a software regime, but there are people who have to be in the forefront and pregnant. Yes, for first and second trimester who are in the forefront and working and not working from home, they need to take care of their transport, avoid public transport, avoid exposure to multiple people, take care of your social distancing norms, take care of hydration, take care of diet, wear a mask, a proper N95 mask, so that it gives, that prevents from aerosols. Take care when you're traveling, take care at your workplace, that you maintain distance, and all these things in terms of taking care for the prevention of spread and getting COVID-19. So people who are at home, the home quarantine and home restrictions, and people who are working, they have this workplace restrictions and workplace environment. We are not recommending anybody to work with COVID-19 in the third trimester in the forefront. So it is basically you can take off from work and get back and stay home safe in the third trimester. So these are certain do's and don'ts during COVID-19. So antenatal care is what we have discussed. The most important part of antenatal care is identification of problems, prevention of problems, and treatment of identified problems. So identification of problems is very important, because unless and until you identify a problem, you will not be able to notice it and treat it. So identification has to be a universal screening for everybody in pregnancy. Provided you have good screening protocols in your workplace and in your antenatal clinic, make sure in COVID times you go to a place which is big enough, spacious enough, no clutter, no smaller clinics, no smaller hospitals, and has a place to screen the general population and streamline the risk people in another zone, low risk and the clean people in one zone and affected people in another zone. So provided this kind of a setup is available, you should always choose a place which is safe for the mother and the child. Safe to run all clean protocols in terms of antenatal care and all standard protocols in terms of identification of problems. So not only this, the place should support you with a good dietitian and diet care. The place should support you with good antenatal yoga, antenatal exercises, Lamaze therapies, and antenatal care as a holistic approach rather than an individual only medical treatment. So the more specific you go for, the more advantage you will have in the institute in terms of getting the antenatal care. And you should always have that point in mind that your safety is very, very important. Safety lies not only in practice, safety comes first in your thoughts. So if your thoughts are clear for an organization which is safe for you, you should always go to that organization. Because preventing a problem is always better than hunting for a cure and spending on something which is preventable, and the lesser expenditure goes on prevention and more expenditure goes on treatment and cure. So, antenatal care is very, very important in terms of what I have told, and your regular medications, your iron, your calcium, your DHA, your other micronutrients that are deficient, all these things have to be in place, including your any thyroid medication that is there, which has to be regularly on follow-up and checked, any hypertensive medication that you're already taking, any diabetic medications, monitoring of sugars, home monitoring of sugars and adjustment of doses, any other medication in terms of epilepsy or any specific conditions that you're on. So all this runs, and this is what you have to expect with your antenatal care. It should give you good results and a better results in high-risk situations. The role of ultrasound is what I wanted to discuss in detail. Ultrasound is a newer gadget in recent obstetrics, wherein it is not only used for diagnosis of current situation, it is also a very good tool for prevention of problems that are coming in future. So, as if you do an ultrasound in early pregnancy, it will prevent you coming with a ruptured ectopic if you have an ectopic pregnancy. So that sensibility you should inculcate in your ultrasound regimes. If you have a good antenatal scan, first scan, you will rule out ectopics, you will rule out multiple pregnancies, you will rule out any other pathologies associated with the first scan, with the pregnancy, uterus and the ovaries, be it a corpus luteal cyst or fibroids or endometriosis or anything for that matter. And an important scan is the first trimester screening, the NP scan, which is very, very important in recent days because it has a preventive role, first in identifying the chances of Down syndrome, Turner's and other genetic abnormalities. It not only does screening for genetic abnormalities, it also gives, along with the double marker or quadruple marker, the first trimester screening, the biochemical screening. If you have a combined report facility, which we have in our PD medicine department, it can again give you the gist of the whole pregnancy, not only congenital malformations. It can always give you a hint whether there are chances of hypertension in pregnancy, preeclampsia, whether there are chances of IUGR, the growth restriction of the babies, whether there are chances only of preterm deliveries. All these things will come in the combined software so that you can explain to the pregnant couple that here is your pregnancy safe, or here is your pregnancy with risk factors, which can be treated with these preventive medications like ecosprin or elarginine or cervical scans or Cerclash or anything for that matter. So when you can identify a problem, you can always prevent it by preventive mechanisms. So this should be the gist of antenatal care, wherein you find high-risk people and then give them special care and prevent them from entering into a zone of risk. So NT scan is like a Bible of pregnancy, wherein you will understand how your pregnancy can behave in future. Similarly, you can guide them in terms of antenatal care, the special care required, the special diet required, the special exercise, the special yoga, anything that is related to this scan report, you can identify and channelize pregnant women to get into a loop of normal pregnancy or a little more monitored and careful pregnancy. So this is the role of NT scan. Then comes the role of mid-trimester, the TIFA scan, wherein this scan is very, very important. It can be done anytime between 18 to 22 weeks. And nowadays, the termination protocol has been slightly moved to 24 weeks. So anytime between 18 and 24, you can have a perfect scan of the fetus, wherein all the congenital abnormalities, the physical abnormalities of the fetus can be identified. They can be checked in utero, and then channelized into a normal DIPA scan or anything that is in particularly noted. You can go for the screening in further methods. So whatever you find in NT and DIPA, that will take the role in terms of giving you the antenatal care to go forward, whether it's a normal or a highest pregnancy. And the third trimester, there comes the role of growth scans. Growth scans are really, really important. We at Cuddle start growth scan at about 28 to 30 weeks, or even earlier at times when it is a twin pregnancy, or when it is a known case of preeclampsia, or known any other high risk case of any IUG or anything. So when you go for a growth scan, you'll not only identify the weight of the baby, the water around the baby, the blood supply in the baby and to the baby. This parameter, all these parameters give you an overall well-being of the baby. If the parameters are normal, then you will be called back again in a couple of weeks for a next scan. If the parameters are abnormal, if the water is less, or the blood flow is less, or the weight is less, or if you're seeing any signs of preeclampsia and abnormal Dopplers, you will be directed accordingly to your next scan schedule. So these scans are very, very important in terms of fetal monitoring and their outcomes. Definitely, growth scans are the only dictators when you have to know about fetal well-being in that time. Yes, you have NSTs, you have fetal monitoring, kick monitoring, you have fetal heartbeat monitoring, but nothing is more good in terms of finding the intrauterine environment and the baby than a growth scan. A growth scan gives you everything that is needed in terms of fetal monitoring. So as far as scans are concerned, after growth scan onwards, whenever you need a scan, the fetal medicine department will give you assistance regarding the next scan and its role. So these are the scan checkups. What about the blood checkups? Yes, COVID-19 times you should be very careful and do not miss on your blood checks, because you have to be identified whether you are gestational diabetes, or you're running urine infections, or your thyroid levels are going up and down, or you're fighting out with anemia. We cannot miss on these at all. So we have a fixed protocol in Cuddles wherein we do these certain things at booking or in the first trimester, and again at 16 to 17 weeks in the second trimester, and again at 24-25 weeks in the third trimester, so that we don't miss on anything that is related to a preterm delivery or urine infection or anemia or a thyroid problem. Anything for that matter should not be missed. These checkups are also mandatory. Okay, once you get them done at a nearby clinic at near your house or home collection of samples, you can send them as a audio consultation or a video consultation of these reports. These reports can be discussed over phone because they are the blood parameters, and you can explain them about these on your telephonic conversation or a video call or video conversations. Other than that, most important checkups have to be done at your hospital only. So these are certain criteria for ultrasounds, certain criteria for the routine blood tests, certain criteria for do's and don'ts during pregnancy, and about the diet. So when it comes to the diet during COVID-19 times is a little more complicated, because the more you are in the house, the lesser availability of exotic items and all that. But yes, our government has ensured that food is one parameter that is not restricted, and they have given access to the supermarkets. That's what we are having everything that we are able to buy. But anybody with a pregnant woman inside the house, I do not advise them to go very often on site, because it is risk of exposure to anybody and everybody. So what I personally suggest is minimum outside visits. So whatever you have to buy, maybe once in 15 days you need to get them and store them and use them and cook them. Have fresh food on a daily basis. Don't have reheated food. Make sure your protein your carbohydrates and fats are balanced. That is very, very important. Eat nutritious food. The three major meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and three minor meals in terms of snacks. What you can have in terms of snacks is you can have sprouts that you can make it at home, you can have nuts, you can have fruit, you can have corn, you can have anything. You can have milk, you can have buttermilk, you can have any other snacks like, the any savories, any Indian savories that you can make through, all these things can be had. So make sure your day starts with milk or buttermilk in the morning or some nuts or anything as a minor meal. Once you are ready for breakfast around 7:30, 8 o'clock, around 7 o'clock if you can have a small snack, what I have suggested in terms of snack, and 8:30, 9 o'clock you can have breakfast. Yes, Indian breakfast is the best in terms of balance between the nutrients of carbohydrates, proteins and fats. So always go Indian and have Indian. That's the most nutritious diet and most apt diet in the current scenario. World is looking forward for our Indian diet with all immune mechanism, all immune boosters in our diet, which is giving good results in terms of COVID prevention and COVID severity. So Indian breakfast is mandatory, and 11 o'clock again you can have buttermilk or some snack or some nuts or anything in that place, and 1:30 you can have lunch. Make sure your lunch is not mixed with anything that is of a calcium source like curd or buttermilk. You can have it as a snack at 3 o'clock. Have your roti, dal, sabji, and or your rice, whatever, according to your dietitian's plan. And at 5 o'clock, make sure you have a time for fruit, because fruit usually, if it is given in the empty stomach, it absorbs well, doesn't cause acidity, doesn't cause putrefaction in the gut. So around 5 o'clock, you can have fruit. And early dinner, say around 8 o'clock, you can have your dinner again. Make it light, make it more, not more complex, easy digestible dinner. And before you sleep, you can have milk with saffron or according to your social habits. What I suggest for in this scenario is increase the use of turmeric, ginger, garlic, spices, the salt or the dry ginger powder. All these things have a lot of value in increasing your immunity levels. It can be the jeera, it can be the pepper, it can be the cinnamon stick, or it can be anything. Make sure you enhance your diet with spices, enhance your diet with immunity boosters, whether it can be honey, it can be anything of a kitchen medicinal value that is going to give you an added advantage. Eat fresh, eat just made food, so that since you have time, you can always opt for that. Diet is something, a very complex thing, and every person has a different outlook to it. So if you can have a dietitian consultation one-on-one with your social foods and your social habits and your eating pattern, they are the best ones to give you the right, diet and the right mechanism to cook the diet and eat, depending on your iron levels or your hemoglobin status or your blood sugar levels and all that. So dietitian consultations can be taken by audio visual or by video consultations, provided you know your height and your weight at that point of time, so that they will give you the diet according to your BMI and your current sugar reports or any other complications that you are dealing with. Make sure you don't miss on this aspect in this COVID times, because pregnancy is a complex condition wherein every trimester you would need changes in your diet. You just can't have a monotonous diet which is not going to suit and which is not going to last. So there should be some slight changes up and down, and some changes that you look forward to change the pattern of eating, so that it keeps you excited. Otherwise, the first trimester is bound to give you a lot of symptoms like vomitings and nausea and all that. You would not force feed on that time. Rather, give a simple kind of food, small frequent foods which you like, and you can take what you like rather than force feeding yourself and having a lot of vomitings. And even the ginger and or some ingredients have lesser, vomiting tendencies. Your vomiting tendency decreases and the morning sickness decreases with these kind of products when you use it in your diet. And make your diet simple, make your diet light, make your diet smaller in quantity, more frequently. It is clearly understood that once, previously when your mother times or your grandmother times, there was a lot of emphasis on feeding and force feeding pregnant women because they used to be around 35-40 kgs, maybe in their late teenage years, wherein growth of the pregnant woman was overlapped with the growth of the baby inside. So there was a need for additional calories intake at that point of time. But now pregnant women are way beyond 50, 60, 70 kgs. So there is no growth spurt at that time. You are already 25, 30 years when you're planning pregnancies. So there is no role of extra calories and force feeding and eating for two people. It is only 300 calories on a calculated basis every day extra for your body, for whatever your BMI requirements, another 300 calories extra. And when you're lactating, it is 450 calories extra. That is also based on your BMI and your requirements. There's no hard and fast rule. Provided your eating pattern does not give you excess weight gain, it should be fine. One quick glance, nothing has to be taken cold because COVID-19, we have to prevent common cold and flu also. Eat warm food, no juices, no coconut water, no anything extra in terms of calories, and nothing to give you a cooling effect. Wherever possible, have warm liquids if you feel like, and otherwise normal temperature liquids. If you are good at having warm liquids, you can sip in warm liquids in between so that there is nobody who's going to expose for a normal flu-like symptoms also, because flu also is so confusing in terms of in times of COVID that nobody would like to have even common cold at this point of time. So your diet should be good in remedial measures, dietary composition, interesting food, fresh food, and should keep up your appetite. That's very, very important. So COVID times, you have to make sure all these things are also taken care of. And once again, I'm telling you, if anybody has questions, you can WhatsApp to 8897993265. We will take up questions as and when they come. There are a few questions which have already come in, but I'm talking on a subject where those questions are covered, so we did not much interfere and took the questions. So there is one question. What are the precautions with newborns? Yes, I will come to this question in the next round. What to do if we have missed our anomaly scan or other important tests due to lockdown? Lockdown is not applicable to pregnant women and antenatal care. Please make sure that you go for your antenatal checkups, antenatal care. Just in case if you have missed, please talk to your consultant. Make sure you schedule an appointment for your anomaly scan. Go for an anomaly scan. We at Cuddles are doing anomaly scans, and all scans, even for facilities who are not doing for their pregnant women, we are doing anomaly scans for them because we do not want anybody to miss on that anomaly scan and NT scans. We as a protocol are running and giving facility to people who are booked with other hospitals also a chance to get their anomaly scans done with us. And antenatal care is something that you have to, you have to give importance for, because there is another life in you. Even the government is not stopping from having your antenatal care and visits. And there are a lot of diagnostic centers who are open, who are following social distancing norms and taking care of people when they have to take care of all these kind of tests. And the next thing, we have to discuss is about labor and delivery. Yes, everybody who's pregnant would definitely think about COVID times and delivery and their outcomes. You have to have your warning signs in place. When you are going for a regular antenatal care in COVID times, your consultant will definitely tell you you're likely to go into labor, or you please get admitted for induction of labor, or if you are having an option of elective delivery, or if you had two previous cesarean or previous cesarean, you want to go for a cesarean, all necessary investigations have to be done prior. All necessary care has to be taken prior before even entering into labor. Yes, there are a couple of things in COVID times that the anesthetists are worried about because they have to give anesthesia services, be it spinal anesthesia or labor analgesia or general anesthesia in case of preeclampsia emergencies or placenta previa bleeding. We don't know what kind of an anesthesia they would need. So very specifically, we'll run down into all these things, in particular about labor and delivery. Labor and delivery, the two departments coordinating. Multiple departments, of course, but two departments in major is the obstetrics and gynae and the anesthesia department. The anesthesia department is responsible for the operative procedures, the cesareans, the emergencies, maybe the ectopics, all these things. And they are in charge of the labor analgesia, the epidurals, the entonox, and all these things. So their criteria is very clear. They want a clear respiratory system, which has to be checked prior getting the patient into the operation theatre. So pre-anesthetic checkups are mandatory. Don't think that pre-anesthetic checkup will be done on the same day for in these COVID times. In these COVID times, you have to be very careful and get your pre-anesthetic checkup done one day prior. If you have an elective surgery or if you have an emergency, they will schedule it accordingly. So your chest has to be clear. You should be devoid of any lung symptoms. Otherwise, you fall into the borderline or high risk category. So that is very important. In terms of general anesthesia, you should have the lung clear and all necessary PPEs should be taken care by the institute that you are delivering. One word here is smaller centers, smaller hospitals, where adequate spacing, adequate social distancing norms, adequate PPE are not available, are not safe for any kind of surgical procedures or deliveries. You have to book yourself in a place where you have screening protocols, you have high-risk care, and you have high-risk setup just in case if you land into any trouble. So, especially in COVID times, you have to choose a hospital which gives you the utmost care and the necessary care if you have any complications, because at the nick of the moment you can't run in between hospitals and you can't get exposed to other high-risk people in a hospital with lesser space and jittery environment. That is one point. When it comes to labor, yes, if your obstetric protocols, your obstetrician will decide what you want to undergo. It is her sole decision that she will take you for a normal delivery or a cesarean or an induction. It is dependent on your findings on that day. When you are in labor, early labor, the screening, the care, everything would be the same. All PPEs in place. Anybody who is attending labor should wear PPEs for protection of the mother and the child from other infections, of the protection of the of the staff. If just in case somebody is in an incubation period, PPEs are a must. Care is must. Prevention is must. All protocols to labor rooms and operation theatres have to be universally established and taken care of. If you wish, epidural anesthesia, epidural analgesia is safe. There is no contraindication for epidural analgesia. You can as well take, even if you have COVID, even if you are in borderline, even if you don't have COVID, if you can go for that procedure. Entonox is a inhaling analgesic agent, wherein the intermittent inhalation of Entonox gas gives decreased pain sensation in labor. Sometimes people have raised a question that it can cause aerosols and it can cause dissemination of aerosols and disperse the COVID-19 virus if the person is infected or is in the incubation period. So, but all these things have been cut off, and the safety of Entonox has been established, provided you take care of the PPEs and you clean in between the deliveries and you use a different mask for different people. So those things have to be in place. In terms of having a fancy delivery, pool delivery or pool birth, that is not advisable during COVID times, because in COVID times, somebody who is in incubation period or who has had COVID and nobody knows whether they have COVID, it is just gone across. There is this bowel excretion of coronavirus COVID-19 that has been documented. And if the bowel secretions are soiled with the pool delivery water, then the infection to the newborn is there. And infection to the people who are doing and attending the delivery is also there. So pool birth is out of question. Better stay away from pool birth during these times. Labor analgesia, labor support, Lamaze during labor, partner support, everything is as for any clear patient or window period patient or infected patient, provided PPE and care is universal. There is no role for PPE for some and no PPE for others. PPE should be universal. There should be wearing a mask, there should be wearing an N95 mask who are doing, the suit, the hazmat suit, the screen, the face screen, the gloves, all these things have to be in place in terms of management of labor and delivery. And during labor, you can take the baby as per the protocol in non-infected and low-risk people. What about infected and high-risk people? Yes, for them, if they have breathlessness or if they can't go through labor and delivery, if the oxygen saturation is dipping, continuous fetal heart monitoring is mandatory in these patients. The heartbeat has to be monitored, and if there is any dip or anything that is of a doubt, abdominal delivery or cesarean section is what is advised. And after delivery care, what people are having as a major doubt is whether the baby will get COVID if the mother is COVID-19 positive during pregnancy. Vertical transmission from the mother to the child inside the mother, there are no documents as of now. But yes, during labor and delivery, any exposure that has happened to the baby in terms of aerosols or oral secretions or anything, there are chances of having COVID-19 infection in the newborn also. So, fetal-maternal transmissions, there is not much of a study and a document that is available. Hardly sporadic, one or two cases have been seen, but we don't know whether that is true or not. As far as intrauterine environment is concerned, there is no spread. But during labor and delivery, the infection chances can be there. Even in spite of taking all kinds of precautions, it is an aerosol, the secretions can land onto the baby. But if you take good precautions, you can avoid contamination and avoid the infection to the baby. So once the labor and delivery is done, for all practical purposes, the pediatrician and the neonatologist will take the decision of how to take care of the baby after the delivery. It is very specific to the condition of the baby and the requirements of the baby that we need to take care after the delivery of the baby. About breastfeeding. If we have to talk about breastfeeding, the advantages of breastfeeding outweigh the risk of infection. So it means that breastfeeding has an advantage, more advantage than the risk associated with infection. Because breast milk has immune boosters, it has got more immune modulators, it has got a better nutritional effect. It has, every baby has the right to have the breast milk after delivery. The main concern is the transmission of the infection if the mother is COVID positive to the baby. Low risk, there is no chance of stopping the mother and child bonding. People who are not infected, they just go routinely even after delivery with the breastfeeding and everything. Infected mothers have to take care in terms of mask, in terms of avoiding the secretions to the baby. They can obviously, if they want, they can go for sterile pumping of breast milk and use express breast milk for feeding if they have another attendant to feed the baby. Yes, there are n number of ways to provide the care that is needed in terms of breast milk and child to have the breast milk once you continue with the postnatal care. What additional need of care is required for the baby is the pediatrician's call, and they would take necessary aftercare. The routine vaccinations, the BCG vaccination, the hepatitis B vaccination, everything is on par and it is going on and nothing has stopped in the COVID times. So everything is in place. There was a very interesting article on the BCG vaccine, that the BCG vaccine, which is usually given in India for every newborn after delivery, immediately after delivery, the next 2-3 days they get BCG vaccine, has given an additional immunity to the COVID-19 infection. There are a couple of documents that we have even read regarding this. Yes, because BCG vaccine gives protection against tuberculosis. It has immunity, it gives immunity against fighting against infections. So it might give across immunity levels to Indian population who are routinely given BCG vaccination. It's been given since ages. So that is another one criteria to look through. And after delivery, the recovery period is one time. The next 6 weeks after delivery are very, very in terms of changes in the mother's body. There is blood loss during delivery, her immune system goes weak. So we want pregnant women, who have finished the labor and delivery to take extreme care and precautions to take care of their health, to maintain social distancing norms, to maintain hygiene, to maintain limited, people coming to visit them, no visitors absolute whatsoever, and no going out of the house and coming into the house frequently. Maintain all cleanliness. This is a time where other infections can come and catch hold of you because of lower immunity levels, blood loss, and recovering phase. Puerperium is very, very important phase to take care. You should be alert and extreme care because there is added child into the house. The child care also takes a toll over your diet habits, your sleep habits, your care for yourself, your postnatal vitamins that you need to take care. All these things have to be framed and everything should be incorporated. Since the child has come in, you should not neglect your diet, neither your medication, neither your sleep. So, in the family, whoever is there, allocate work so that every work that is there in the family is distributed and no pressure on a single person to take care, and everything has to be balanced in terms of postnatal care, diet, medication, vitamin supplementation, sleep, and stress. Very quick note on intra pregnancy and post delivery depression that women are going through, especially in terms of COVID-19 infection, they have a lot of apprehensions in pregnancy. They are having a lot of sleepless nights. But touch wood, if I have to tell you something, we are all in the low risk zone. Provided you stay home, you stay safe, you don't get exposed, you take the right food, you maintain the right cleanliness, you are not susceptible for anything more in terms of infection rates. You have very good antenatal care, very good care of your personal hygiene, intake of vitamins, calcium, iron, DHA, vitamin D, your other supportive medications. You take nutritious diet, sleep well, exercise. On a very good note about exercise, you have to have, because of limitations of house arrest or into the lockdown phase, you can walk inside the house, however possible, and you can do yoga meditation to decrease the stress levels, positive approach. You can rely on music therapy, that is very advantageous. You can listen to good music, read good books. Don't get hooked onto televisions with all kinds of information, which has become a pandemic. We are dealing with an information pandemic, which is unwanted at this point of time. Take the right information by the right person into the right time to have a healthy and healthier outcomes of pregnancy. So, pregnancy per se, you have to take care of all these things. Whenever you have to take care about your exercise, you have your own hospital where you're going for checkups. You have your antenatal protocols, your Lamaze protocols, your pelvic strengthening exercises, your back strengthening exercises. All these things have to be taken care and establish that regime on a regular basis. Whatever space you get, if you can take care of yourself in that space and you make a schedule or you make a program and follow that day to day, it might be difficult for some days, but once you get into practice, it's the easiest to do. Because COVID-19 is here to stay. Lockdown might be off on, we don't know. But COVID-19 is a viral infection. It will not disappear, and you have to live a life with COVID-19 around you. So all this, what you get trained for in these couple of days, will eventually go forward along with you in the long run as a practice. And this practice will help you prevent other viral infections, not only COVID-19. So health and cleanliness, diet and nutrition, mental health, physical health, exercise, all these things have to be balanced. Then comes the role of incorporating all these into your lifestyle. So we have a question. Um, what precautions to take after hospital visit? Yes, that's a good question. So you have a scheduled hospital visit. First and foremost thing, you have to collect all your documents of that pregnancy, previous pregnancy. We don't know what they will require. So all documents should be collected. All documents should be carried. If you have to go fasting to the hospital, you can go fasting and take your own cooked food in your boxes along with your snacks for that entire day. You don't know when you will come back, because you will need a checkup, you might need an ultrasound, you might need anything else. So pack your boxes with your snacks. If possible, if it is not for labor delivery, if it is only first trimester or second trimester, you can drive alone. There is no issue. It is advisable to go alone to the hospital, or else maximum one attendant you can take. As soon as you reach the hospital, or even when you come out of the house, your mask should be on. Mask need not be N95 or surgical mask or anything. You can have a 4 to 5 layered handkerchief also tied very well onto your nose and mouth, so that it shields against aerosol infection. If you have a habit of wearing contact lenses, please remove them and wear glasses and go to the hospital, because it will give protection against the aerosol contact into the eye. So at home, these are the requirements that you need to make sure. Um, Wear full clothing, that's important. Close your mouth and nose with 4 to 5 layered cloth. Wear glasses if you are having habit of contact lenses, remove them, wear glasses. Collect all your reports, take your food along. You can go alone if it is only for a visit, or one attendant at the most. Once you reach the hospital, once you reach the hospital, you have to go to the screening area where they will take your contact details, they will give you the consent forms, they will give you the details of, they'll take the details from which area you're coming, does it come under red zone, all these things happen in the screening. So once screening is done, after the screening, you will be tagged along, whether you're clean case or you have any other problem, like you have a cold, cough, and everything, then you will be taken into the different zone, or a high risk case. So it's a clean case, or a suspect, or a high suspect, infected. Okay. So the three zones should be absolutely different from each other, handled by different people, and at no place the entry and exit should mix. So once you get yourself into the antenatal OPD, you have to maintain your social distancing norms, be it at the billing counter or at the at the sample collection room or at the ultrasound room or at your doctor's office. You have to maintain social distancing norms. You have to sit a meter far off from each other, no crowding. Make sure you sanitize your hands. If possible, you can wear gloves, which you can remove it while you're going out from the hospital, or when you reach home. Gloves are an option. If you don't have gloves, on a periodic basis, the hospital that you've gone, they will give you a facility of sanitization. Nowadays we have this aerosol sanitizer that is available in bottles, where you walk through the aerosol chamber, you have sodium hypochlorite solution that cleans you and disinfects you, even when you're coming into the hospital or going out of the hospital. That option will be there. Or a hand sanitizer, and the mechanism to clean with the hand sanitizer is clean the entire hand, including your fingers, including the back of the hand, your palms, and till the area that is exposed. So make sure you clean on a regular basis. Do not touch any place unnecessarily. When you are seated, you make sure you are seated at social distancing norms. Once you finish your consultation, finish your scan or blood test or anything, once you wrap up everything, you can take all the documents and go back home. When you go back home, you have to leave the clothes that you have gone with outside, or at a place in the washroom where you're not going to touch them for some time, and take a shower, change the clothes. You can wet the clothes or put them sun-dried. Sanitize your hands properly. Make sure the files that you get, you can leave them in the sun for some time. If it is sunny, you can leave them in the sun for some time, or keep it at a place you don't touch them for 2-3 days if it is not required. Make sure you buy all your medications in the hospital and come home, rather than coming home and going back to a pharmacist and buying them. So these are small tips that we need to take care. They're very important. Very, very important, because all these things make you a safe person and a safe pregnancy ultimately. So whatever it is, even when you're at hospital, you want to have some food, sanitize your hands properly, have food, close the box, keep it aside, and again sanitize your hands. So hand sanitization is the master in prevention of a direct contact. Make sure whenever you remove the hands of the mask, you are in a place where you won't get exposure. Make sure you are safe. If you are gone in a car, you can come sit in your car and then eat your food and then go back. So, or very safe areas that you have identified for eating food. So, these small things make a lot of sense in terms of prevention of COVID-19 for pregnant women. Prevention is always a mechanism which is stronger than cure or therapy at a later date. So there are likewise many other things that you need to take care. So there are so many myths and truths about maternal fetal transmission. Um, you live with old timers and you have elders in the house. You have to be extra cautious with their health also, because COVID-19 is targeting more number of people above 55-60 years with comorbidities. So if you have elders at home, make sure they do not accompany you to any of the antenatal visits. It is contraindicated for any of the elders to come for antenatal visits or labor support or aftercare in the hospital. The best person to come with you is your partner. Your husband can support you in labor and take the aftercare of after the delivery and take care of the baby and baby support along with you. Elders are not invited, they are not supposed to come out of the house, even for daily chores which need to go outside the house, like buying vegetables or buying groceries or any other thing. Elders are not supposed to go because they are potent people to get infected and they can get you infected in the house. So make sure neither pregnant women, neither children nor elders to go out for any daily chores. It is advisable for younger people to go and get works done if necessary, if 100% necessary outside. And any house with a pregnant woman, we do not advise to and fro every day going in and out of the house. That is not advisable. Even when you have to take daily things into the house, like if you have to take milk packets, you take them and wash the milk packets properly and then use them. That is how you can prevent transmission of COVID-19 through fomites. Fomites are certain things that catch the virus and in turn give it to the others. It can be lift buttons, door knobs, railings, newspapers, clothes, or milk packets, vegetables, fruits, foodstuffs that are kept in the supermarkets. All these can act as fomites and cause the transmission of infection. So whatever comes into the house should be kept idle for some time, which can be washed, should be washed properly and used, which cannot be washed, need to be kept idle for some time in the sun or in the open area, and then you should use it. On a regular basis, everybody has to clean the all suspected fomites like lift buttons and the door knobs and railings on a regular basis to prevent transmission. Clothes which have been worn outside have to be washed properly and just not left idle, or you should not continue to wear them in the house and roam around, including the footwear that you use. That has to be left outside, and you should have a separate footwear for inside the house and outside the house. These are certain care that you have to take care. And with children in the house, they have toys that they use on which have to be cleaned on a daily basis, especially when they're going out to play in the play area and then coming inside. Those have to be cleaned and disinfected. That is very important. In this COVID times, pregnant women have to get exposed to adequate amount of sunlight, because sunlight per se will give vitamin D. It gives the energy that is needed for the body, a positive energy, and along with it vitamin D, also synthesized in sunlight. If they are not adequately exposed to sunlight, provided their lack of exposure and a closed environment, they have to take vitamin D supplements on a regular basis to prevent vitamin D deficiency. Because vitamin D is linked to better immunity level, which has to be maintained. If you can, that's the best thing that you can do. I always say that prevention is better than cure, and you should concentrate on prevention mechanisms, aseptic mechanisms, and mechanisms that place your health beyond a certain level to prevent infections. After all this, I would like to talk on a topic called holistic care and approach to a positive pregnancy. Holistic care is beyond having just antenatal checkups. In this busy world, what people are lacking is time. Time is a constraint for everybody. So when we have to think about pregnancy and the care of pregnancy and the aftercare that is needed to raise a child, you should be in a state of absolute health and well-being as a pregnant woman and as a mother to take care of a new child coming into the house. It is the responsibility of the couple. It's the pregnancy that is felt by the couple, and the couple are pregnant, not the woman only. Be it COVID times or non-COVID times, it is important that the sense of responsibility is inculcated into the family and support is given to a pregnant woman. Especially in COVID times when everybody is in the house and all of them are at a same place, the responsibility of the woman of the house has increased way beyond in terms of cooking for the house, taking care of the cleanliness, taking care of the laundry, taking care of everything other than her care. So it should be the family support, partner support to take care about the care of the pregnant woman. And in terms of antenatal care, holistic antenatal care is what I have supported all throughout in the last 20 years. It is not only about checking pregnant women on a regular basis by blood tests, by scan, by giving medications. It is always surrounding pregnant women with happiness, and it's an overall aura that we have to create around her, the positive vibes that will help her deliver a healthy child. Antenatal care is only a part of it. Holistic care takes care of her psychological well-being, her physical well-being, her mental well-being, and also her social well-being. So, an environment created for the social well-being is incorporating the whole family into her support, partner into her support, helping her emotionally stabilize and emotional care by the other family members to her. Physical well-being is inculcating yoga, inculcating exercises, inculcating back strengthening, pelvic floor strengthening, Lamaze sessions, inculcating Garh Sanskar yoga, and all these other mechanisms which have overall health benefits in pregnancy, overall health benefits even after the delivery. Especially in COVID times, there's a lot of stress that has to be taken care of. Psychological well-being is one focus wherein we have to take care of pregnant women in terms of giving her that absolute necessary care for her psychological support. Meditation and yoga will definitely help her in the long run. Simple pranayama, simple silent meditating, simple observing your breath will definitely give you an added advantage to calm your body and enter into a phase of peace. That's very, very important. You can even take care of the help of music therapy. You can listen to good music. You can listen to good stories. You can read good stories. That will psychologically support you in this time of lot of apprehension and tension and trauma. So here comes social well-being, here comes emotional well-being, here comes psychological well-being, physical well-being, and your antenatal care. So the holistic approach, when you have to have a circle that completes, it also enhances the pregnancy results. It gives very good results and marginally good results in terms of high-risk pregnancies. Anybody with a low-risk pregnancy might not feel the difference and they might end up in a good outcome as per their pregnancy outcomes. But with a high-risk pregnancy, with a with apprehensions, with doubts, with tensions, they are the ones who will really see the benefit with holistic healthcare. We at Cuddles concentrate on this holistic healthcare, wherein we give support emotionally, physically, socially, culturally, every kind of support along with a very well balanced antenatal care. Antenatal care balanced with all these things, you get tremendous happy outcomes and happy mothers with a very happy family outcome. We incorporate the husband, the family members in antenatal activities. We train them for the future coming child. We not only train them for a good pregnancy outcome, we also train them for the aftercare also. Especially you have these classes of painting, you have the classes of artwork, you have the classes of stitching, embroidery, you have the classes of knitting, you have classes relating to childcare, the kajal making, the fathers being trained for diaper training, all these things. So there are so many things that we inculcate as a practice to decrease the stress levels into the pregnant women so that they have better outcomes, and family involvement is important. What we have learned with COVID-19 is how important family is, how important the routine practices of sterility and cleanliness are, how important are social distancing norms, how important is our diet, our social diet that is helping us prevent from a lot of infections. All these things as a culture, if we can reinforce into pregnant women, and this reinforcement, if you can keep it as an ongoing phenomenon, nothing can be done as a change overnight. It has to be years of planning, years of motivation, and a complete departmental approach for every pregnant woman to feel that change and to go forward. At Cuddles, we make sure that every pregnant woman, whoever is booked, is taken into this mode of holistic healthcare, wherein an outcome of pregnancy is always a blessed one with a pleasant feeling and a happy, outcome as far as possible. So holistic healthcare shows a lot of difference in terms of COVID-19 times because the apprehensions that are there, the problems that are faced by pregnant women definitely are addressed. And once your problems are addressed and your antenatal care covers every angle of your well-being, definitely you will have a better outcome. COVID-19 is taking a lot of toll, it is giving a lot of stress. World Health Organization per se says that we are dealing with two pandemics. One is the COVID-19 per se. The second one is the information epidemic that we are having. Please do not spend time on looking into daily statistics, daily hard news, daily news channels, or social media updates that are not being screened for true or false. That has a tremendous side effect on pregnant women and their psychological well-being. Pregnancy is a state of lot of ups and downs emotionally. They are more vulnerable for emotional upsets and episodes of temperament or a loss of control or episodes of crying or all these things. Pregnancy per se is a condition of emotional imbalance. If you tend to put a lot of time into looking into WhatsApp messages or news rollings that give more feed into increasing the emotional upsets, you will in turn harm yourself. So make sure that you don't get exposed to unwanted information. Spend time, if you have, on music therapy, reading books, meditation, yoga, fitness, positive thinking, good diet, and family care. So this will enhance your chances of getting pregnant, your chances of getting a healthy pregnancy, your chances of getting a healthy outcome. So holistic healthcare is your choice, and what you think in terms of your pregnancy, what your requirements for pregnancy, you are the ones who will choose that kind of a hospital setup for your well-being. So we have discussed in detail about should you or should you not plan pregnancy, how safe is pregnancy, do's and don'ts during COVID-19, antenatal care, what to expect when you're expecting, role of ultrasound, dietary tips, what to expect during labor and delivery, safety of breastfeeding, myths and truths of maternal-fetal transmission, holistic care, which is very important, and approach to a positive pregnancy. All these things have been discussed in detail. So, whatever I have spoken today, the gist of all these things has come from few authentic sites like ICMR. It is the Indian Council of Medical Research, our highest governing authority, who regulates health and well-being in the country. From the WHO, World Health Organization, which is working day in and out to understand the epidemic, to continue the research that is happening into the epidemic, and to take care of the protocols of medication, protocols of vaccines and when to get the vaccine. There is a multi-centric independent study that is happening by the WHO, the biggest till now for the COVID-19. The RCOG guidelines, wherein we have seen the guidelines from the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, where they have a lot of papers published with this, and the ACOG, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, where they have also a limited exposure to the pregnant patients and their outcomes. So all these papers I have incorporated and brought into into a gist of what I have told. Along with it, I have incorporated our protocols at Cuddles, our safety norms that we are using, and how safe that we are giving the services to pregnant women booked with us, and also to pregnant women who are not booked with us and are lacking antenatal care in their setup, so they can come over here and get their antenatal care and delivery done, because it's a very safe place, and safety is very important at this point of time. Not only this, if you have to talk about pregnancy, people have lots of questions regarding pregnancy and care. Even it comes to the point that if somebody is COVID positive, what would be the pregnancy care and what would be the care that specially is designed for them. Some points regarding COVID positive pregnant women. Similarly, COVID positive pregnant women can be divided into the first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester. First trimester COVID positive patients, if they have milder symptoms, nothing much. If they have moderate symptoms, take care so that their respiratory rate, their oxygen saturation, everything is monitored well. Any chances of breathlessness, any signs of breathlessness will be treated at a place where it is treated for COVID. That is very important. You should go to a higher center where COVID patients are treated, and your care should be done there. If you have higher symptoms like a lot of breathlessness and decreasing saturations, you would be treated similar way as a non pregnant women. So mid-trimester also, you have lesser chances of complications. The similar way applies. Especially in the third trimester, you should book at a place where you have treatment facilities for preterm labor, COVID positive patients where they can be treated, high-end centers where ventilator care, blood and blood products are available, including the NICU requirements if there is a chance of preterm delivery, higher anesthesia facilities where they have a team of anesthetists who can support you, team of intensivists just in case if you land into any other problems. Blood and blood products are important. And nowadays, we have a lot of treatment options for COVID-19, be it anti-malarial drug, or be it antiviral drugs, be it azithromycin, be it doxycycline, be it any kind of protocols. Every high-risk center which is treating COVID-19 have their protocols driven by their national authority. So in India, we have ICMR guidelines in place which are used for treatment of COVID positive patients. There are very clear guidelines and we have very good treating facilities as of now. We have patients who have very well recovered, very well gone through labor, delivery, and the baby also not getting affected. First case was in AIMS when an affected pregnant lady, who was a doctor herself, the couple of doctors, she delivered and the baby did not get infected. So we have examples which are promising. We have examples which are giving us good results, provided you take absolute care in terms of PPEs and your drug protocol regimes. We have access to good healthcare in terms of private and public healthcare, and COVID-19 is currently the first protocol driven for any kind of emergency. We have special facilities designed for COVID-19 and its care. Recently, we had a couple of papers presented on COVID-19 indicating plasma therapy. So plasma therapy was given to one particular patient. Plasma therapy is some kind of a treatment wherein a recovered patient from COVID-19 donates the plasma, fresh frozen plasma, and that plasma has antibodies of the COVID-19 in the recovered patient's blood. So those antibodies are used for the current infected person. So this plasma of the recovered person is transfused to the infected person who is under critical care or a ventilated care or any critical condition. So this has been studied in one of the patients wherein after giving the plasma therapy to this ventilated patient who was in a critical condition, that patient recovered from COVID-19 and was ventilator removed in 3 days after giving the plasma. So this is one of its study, but we need further studies to establish any kind of positive outcomes. This is one of the patient, and later on there were a couple of treatments done on a similar ground which are not very promising. So I am just giving an example of one patient who was shifted from a critical condition outside. So if pregnancy has any underlying COVID condition, it can be as good as a common cold and flu or something moderate, just a minimum little breathlessness and fever, high-grade fever and breathlessness, and a severe grade. If you have comorbidities and if you are diabetic, obesity, or hypertensive, or if you have any cardiac condition complicating that pregnancy, so you can land into critical condition. But per se, always said and done, prevention is better than cure. Early diagnosis and treatment is always better than late diagnosis. If you have any symptoms, report to your doctor as soon as possible. If you have just cold or flu-like symptoms, just an audio consultation, and accordingly you can take appointment to the doctor. If you have any kind of breathlessness or fever or high temperatures or throat pain or any other symptom that is severe, you have to go to a COVID sensitive, COVID treating hospital which is nearby. Never ever go to smaller clinics. Smaller clinics can be a source of contamination if PPEs are not maintained, or if they are in the incubation period, or if there is overcrowding and do not follow social distancing norms. So we have seen examples of doctors who have fallen prey to patients and attenders who have given them infection. So doctors getting infection from the patient and patient attenders, and doctors in turn giving infection to other vulnerable population who come in direct contact with them. So even such conditions can be prevented by proper PPE and proper care. So never barge into any nearby places without PPE and without safety norms and without social distancing norms. Always choose for a place which is safe for you, which takes care of your health and their health as a priority. Facility is very important in pregnancy. Pregnancy and antenatal care has to run as per schedule, as per your requirements, and there is no scope of stopping antenatal care because antenatal care has to go on. Labor and deliveries have to happen, and you have to have safe delivery practices, safe antenatal care. Prevention is always better than cure. And any further questions you can send on to this number 8897 So I have covered everything under the sun for antenatal care for COVID-19 positive, COVID-19 suspects, COVID-19 safe pregnant women, and antenatal care which is holistic antenatal care which is family driven and antenatal care with better outcomes. Be it COVID situation or a non-COVID situation, common sense and Indian habits work wonders. Common sense is one thing that you have to take care and think before doing anything. Be it a small namaskar or be it cleaning your feet when you're going into the house or be it anything that is related to diet, spices, food, social habits, culture. We are in a place of in a place of India which is socially, culturally driven place with health as its after effect. So when we think about all these, our health is well maintained when we follow the care that is socially inculcated into us. So culturally also we are quite strong. Make sure pregnancy is a state that you understand and go forward in a positive direction even after delivery. Do not go by the whims and fancies of westernization. Westernization is causing a lot of troubles in our culture. Be it pregnant women or be it people who are planning pregnancy, be it infertility, it is westernization of culture, westernization of diet, westernization of habits, westernization of life that has brought infertility into us, diabetes into us, obesity into us, antenatal complications into us, labor and delivery complications into our life, and spoiling the life of our children in terms of their dietary changes, their lifestyle changes, and their cultural differences. So if you have to feel the change in the world and you have to get back to our culture, you will have the safety, the guard that is there with our habits, and we will definitely move away, we will drift away if our habits change from an unsafe world to a safe world without obesity, with more physical fitness, with lesser infertility reasons, with better pregnancy outcomes, with better outcomes in our children and better generations to come forward. So we do not wish to be the diabetes capital of the world. We do not wish our pregnant women to become diabetic. Move away from westernization, move away from diet that is westernized, move away from habits that are westernized, move away from gadgets that are taking your family away from you, move away from habits that are distancing yourself from your own family and family members. Move towards a positive thinking, positive diet, positive frame of family, family relationships, and close knit relationships which have to be maintained by talking to each other rather than having social website cultures. Always family culture and social culture of our country has been a focus that is there right now, also in terms of COVID times, that we are sustaining a pandemic that proves that our country is strong and we have stronger, bonds than anybody else. So Western people are looking at us. So why not we enhance our culture, we enhance our social life to our Indian culture. That is how we can make a change. A small change in you will get you health, will get you peace, will get you happiness, will get you good family attachment, good, it will take you away from infertility treatments, pregnancy rates will improve, it will give good pregnancy outcomes also, and a good parenting life wherein you can have adequate time frame with your child, and the child also will fall into this vicious cycle. So a vicious cycle has to re-establish itself and take care that you fall into our positive vicious cycle rather than getting fixed into the cycle of westernization. In COVID-19, be extra careful about your social distancing norms, your maintaining your sterility and hygiene, your stress relief, your diet, your physical exercise. Make sure you have inculcated this into your daily life. That is very, very important, because once you inculcate these positive practices into your daily life, that will take you a long way. Your future will be secure and your future will be happy. So today's journey of safe motherhood during COVID-19 times should be a lesson learned to go way forward into your life with full of happiness, no apprehensions, no secondary thoughts. Have good antenatal care, have good preventive antenatal care, which will take care of your this pregnancy rather than keeping your past or future into mind. This pregnancy is very important. It is your responsibility to choose the right antenatal care, the right method to deal with problems, the right method to think, and the right method to act. We at Cuddles provide holistic health care and antenatal care for all pregnant women to make their life cycle a happy one. Not only that we make their changes in their life during pregnancy, we extend it after pregnancy, child care and child rearing also. We inculcate the concepts of family, the concepts of well-being, and the concepts of our culture into the family for further bonding and further, life which makes more happiness in their life. So, if you have any doubts, you can WhatsApp your doubts to the following number. We would like to, be in contact, and we would definitely get back to you with an answer for all your queries. Please note down the number. It's 8897 993265. So you can still WhatsApp your queries, and we will answer your queries if you have doubts on anything. But yes, antenatal care has to go on. You can come in any time and join our antenatal care and follow our holistic approach to pregnancy care and delivery. We are very safe and we are absolutely geared up for any pandemic, be it COVID-19 or anything. We have universal protocols in place. Pregnant women safety is our criteria, and the whole department works centered on this simple concept of holistic pregnancy care. We have everything established under a single roof to give antenatal care, a natural birthing experience, and a very supervised care in terms of high-risk pregnancy care also. The team is supported by cardiologists, neurologists, neurophysicians, urologists, surgeons, gastroenterologists, everybody, including a component-based blood bank to give us back-end support, a huge anesthesia team to give good support for labor analgesia and anesthetic procedures. So we are very safe and we welcome you all for a very safe antenatal care. Thank you.